Hello, I'm Todd Sullivan. I build and sell the SullyBilt Air Spring Replacement System for the GMC Motorhome. And what I'm going to do right now is a demonstration on how simple and easy it is to remove the original airbag and put the SullyBilt airbag in place. Okay, so the first step is to block the coach and then let the air out of your existing airbag and let the coach come to rest on the blocking. I've got 6 2x4s. Don't need 6, there's no magic number, but 6 2x4s seems to get the coach to about the right height where it's easiest to maneuver the bag in and out. If you have manual shutoff valve, I would shut the valve off, then drain the bag, then remove the line. I've only got 3 wrenches, a socket, and, well, 4 wrenches in a socket. 1 1/8 socket and wrench, 3/4 inch wrench, 1/2 inch, and 9/16 for the air lines. These airbag nuts obviously haven't been undisturbed for 10 years like yours may have. If they've been on there a long time, it wouldn't hurt to put some penetrant on the bolt studs on both ends and let it sit for a couple of days, maybe even repeat that operation a few times. If you have a stubborn nut on one end of the bag, you can leave it inflated when you crack it loose and make sure it spins all the way off, and then you can spin it back on before you do the other side. The pressure and the weight of the coach on there will keep the bag from spinning as you try to loosen it. I'm using a wrench on this side because I don't want to break this whole fitting all apart to get it out. I'm just going to spin the bag off of the fitting. And keep one of your main airbag nuts, fill port nuts, because you're going to use that on the SullyBilt system. Okay, now what you have is one functional spare airbag that can be reinstalled the same way it was just uninstalled if there's a reason for a spare in the future, if there's a problem with your replacement system. Okay, so we have the new Firestone 9294 airbag, one of the original Firestone airbag nuts, the hardware kit that comes with the SullyBilt system, and one side of a SullyBilt kit. And we're going to assemble the kit on the airbag and then put the airbag on the motorhome. There is one modification that needs to be made to the airbag prior to installation, and that is you need to spin one of the supplied nuts down on the stud, exposing a 1/2 inch, and then use an abrasive cutoff tool or a Sawzall and cut a 1/2 inch of that stud off. This stud has already been cut. An abrasive cutoff tool works much better than a Sawzall. I've tried both methods. Alright, so here we go. Spin this side on to remove a bunch of slop, but you don't tighten this until the airbag assembly is on the coach. Remove the fill port cap and keep it aside, as you will need it later to store your original airbag. Assemble the other plate. This nut has a integrated locking washer built into its head, so it does not require a separate lock washer. A lock washer from the original airbag and the nut from the original airbag. The fill port, you do want to tighten at this time. It doesn't take a huge amount of torque because it's got a lock washer. I think you're getting tight enough when you're having a little bit of trouble hanging on to it while you're tightening it. That's good enough. Do the same thing with the 3/4 on the other side. And again, we're going to leave this one loose until after it's installed in the coach. Okay, this airbag is ready to be put on the vehicle. Okay, so we've got the assembled SullyBilt bag. We've got the included hardware, which is a bolt and nut washers. 2 of the nuts that secure the bag to the SullyBilt kit have already been installed. Since this has a multi-piece Schrader valve and shutoff in it, the simplest way to take this off and put it back on is to put it on the airbag first, because it will not spin all the way around with the airbag installed. It'll run into the bogie. So I'm going to put a little bit of thread sealant on this. And you want to take care to not get any of that stuff down inside the air passage. That could be bad juju. Alright, now that we've got that on, I'm going to open the fill port, or open the valve, compress the bag a little bit, and then shut it off so it holds itself together. If you don't have a Schrader valve and a shutoff, you can do the same thing by pushing down and then capping the fill port with one of the original airbag fill cord caps, and that will hold it in a vacuum and keep it slightly contracted. The kit comes with 2 washers, a large nut, a large bolt to secure the SullyBilt kit to the bogie arms. These washers are spacers. Some bogie arms have different depth recesses cut in here where the bolts come out through, and sometimes it can be cut a 1/4 inch deep, which makes it quite hard to get a wrench or a socket on this nut once it gets down to where you're trying to tighten it. So if you've got a deep recess in there, then you're a candidate for these washers. They're not necessary, they're more of a convenience feature. Spin that side on, thread this side. You want to hold the airbag plate in the same plane as the face of the bogie arm when you're tightening. Again, you can do this final. If you can't get this very tight to your satisfaction, you can inflate the bag and then finish tightening it, because it's not going to spin very easily when it's got the whole weight of the coach sitting on it. So I'm going to run that one snug, and then I'm going to run this one snug. Now another thing that you can do if you want to finish tighten this right now is you can put a crescent wrench, adjustable wrench on the bottom or on the top and hold that still. I do have one here for just that purpose. Slip it on the top like that. Cinch it. Do the same thing on this side. Okay, we've got both sides relatively snug. We might give it an extra little bit at the end once we've aired it up. We can go ahead and put our airline back on. The airline is a compression nut, therefore it doesn't require any thread sealant. Got a little extra on there. I'm going to manually fill this with an air hose to save a little bit of time. Okay, the coach has come up off the blocking. I would leave the blocking underneath the coach until you've done all of your finished tightening. That way if something were to go wrong, it's not going to drop all the way to the ground. It's a lot easier to get this tight with the weight of the coach on it. once you've inflated the coach and got it up in the air, the airbag will orient itself. That's why we left this nut in the back loose. Once that has occurred, once it's lifted and the bag is expanded, it will orient itself and slip on this cone if need be. Now is the time to tighten this nut on the back. And again, this nut has a built-in lock washer. It does not need to be terribly tight. You know, I'm using a standard 3/4 inch wrench, and you know, I'm not putting a whole lot of down pressure on it. Airbag system is installed. There's no adjustment made to the height control valve. There's no need to jack the vehicle up. There is no need to remove a wheel. This system is ready to go. There's been no changes to any parts other than what's supplied in the kit, and you're ready to rock and roll. Your original airbag, if it functioned, can now be kept as a spare, and you can take the fill port cap that came with the 9294 bag, and you can compress your bag all the way down until the cones are touching. Stick the fill port cap on it, and now you've got yourself a transportable spare airbag. And to install it back in, you just reverse the steps that we just did. You unbolt the SullyBilt bag from there, take the fill port nut back off the SullyBilt bag, and use it to install your original bag. We're ready to go camping.